At a conference championship, the foundation of the success that molds a team into a program. That all begins when the pen is put to paper, the dotting of I's and crossing of T's on this day, bringing anticipation and significance rivaling game days, because National Signing Day is when things become official. The potential puzzle pieces of a roster are set in place, and the progress towards a new season of aspirations continues. This is the 2019 National Signing Day celebration live from the campus of FIU. We're all set up and ready to go at the Graham Center. Well, we welcome you inside alongside the loyal contingents of Panther fans and supporters here at the Graham Center who know that today is another significant step forward for the FIU program. Rory, having a good time here as well. Glad to have you with us. It's a Signing Day show. AJ Ricketts alongside the head coach, Butch Davis, right here once again. 20 signees, a big day for the program. You and your staff have put a tremendous amount of work into this class. And you know, we saw last year a lot of first-year players coming into the program making a difference, and that's sure to be the case again. But congratulations on another great signing day for you and your staff.
Well, thank you, AJ. And obviously it's great to be with you. It's great to be able to share a lot of this information to the FIU Panther fans, the people that love the football program. And AJ, you kind of nailed it. You said, you know, how important recruiting is. It is the lifeblood of a program, that if you don't have success on the National Signing Day and the early signing day, at some point in the future you're going to pay the price of it. And you know, you can't do this without a lot of really good people that did it. And two people specifically I'd like to talk about is Jed Keim, our Director of Football Operations, that orchestrates a lot of the bringing kids in and the hotels and the campus tours and those kinds of things that have to take place on the recruiting weekends. And then Bryn Renner, who is the Director of Recruiting and Player Personnel, those two guys, along with our coaching staff. And AJ, we are blessed. And for the fans out there to know, our coaching staff, they are outstanding. They build great relationships with the kids. They hustle around. They get around. They see a lot of kids. They're in and out of high schools. They're great representatives of the FIU University in and of itself in the football program. So many people, AJ, and we tell them on the official visit when they come in how many people touch their lives. The academic support people in the SAC department, people, you know, on campus, the medical, Kevin O'Neill in the training room, Chad Smith with the strength and conditioning. I mean, literally 20 to 25 people probably impact these kids' lives on a daily basis, and you could not have success recruiting without them. And so we're very fortunate to have all of them. A lot of them are here in the Graham Center today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the recruiting process, especially down the stretch, it's such a grind. You were telling me your travel schedule before the show. I was getting exhausted just listening to Atlanta, Dallas, Orlando, 4 a.m. wake-ups, but that's just the nature of the game. And when you close with a great number of recruits and a great amount of talent and high-character kids like you do today, well, it's really all worth it in the end. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. We're going to go alphabetically and chronologically, starting with the fall commits. Back a couple of months, well, December, I should guess, for the first signing day, because now we love it so much we get to do it twice. So,
you know, and AJ, one quick addition is people kind of see these players as they see the highlights and the videos and things. Keep in mind, you know, in year 3, we raised the bar.
Yeah,
and the expectations of the kids that we're bringing into this program, we wanted to get bigger, we wanted to get faster, we wanted to get more athletic. And one of the things that we're going to reference when we talk about some of these kids is the versatility, because a lot of these kids were multi-sport players, but they were also offense and defense, that when they get here, their future, they may end up being in the secondary or a linebacker, wide receiver, running back, you know, outside pass rusher. So, you know, there's a lot of versatility in this class.
And right off the bat, a perfect example of that. All right, let's go. Let's start off with KENDRICK Carter, who, you know, his first 3 years, he started as a running back, but then his senior year, he was an outside linebacker. So, and Bryn Renner was talking about it. He loves linebackers that have played running back because they understand what they're looking for defensively.
Almost every single great linebacker that I had, Danny Morgan and DJ Williams and guys that I had at North Carolina, they started off as running backs, and you're right, they can, you know, they get the sense of where the running backs are going to make cuts and stuff. And KENDRICK was one of those kind of guys. And if you can believe this, AJ, a couple of years ago in the recruiting class, it was Anthony Wenth and Trayvon Williams and Fred Russ. And then there was 2 years that there was a void of no linebackers signed. So, you know, KENDRICK is the first of 4 linebackers that we're going to talk about today. Athletic, and we really think that he's got upside.
He's a longtime SMU commit. Oklahoma State was in the conversation, but he is heading down from Cajun country in Louisiana it to the 305. All right, moving forward, Ty Danzy, a defensive end coach, 6'5", 235 out of South Carolina, like Bryce Singleton, but on the other side of the state, but like Singleton, a lot of high school success. Ty Danzy, also a basketball player as well, that dual sport molds.
And we love it, and certainly as the head coach, I love kids that like to compete, football, basketball, they run track, play baseball, but you know, Ty is one of those kids that we really project, the 6'4 and a half, 6'5", 240 pounds. 2 years from now, he's liable to be 265 pounds and be an outstanding, great outside pass rusher, somebody that's got the athleticism with all the spread offenses and the mobility of quarterbacks. You've got to have defensive ends that are good athletes.
All right, from South Carolina down to Jacksonville, another defensive standout, DESHAUN Davis, the product of Lee High School. He was the first commit in the 2018 cycle, describes himself as competitive and a come-downhill safety. He could be a real strength in the run D.
Yeah, and one of the things, obviously, AJ, you know, when you're looking at safeties, in the old school days, they were almost like undersized linebacker type guys. Now, they've got to be athletic. They've got to be guys that can cover, because the offenses, they're in 4 wide receivers, 3 wide receivers, the athleticism of a tight end. So DESHAUN is one of those guys. He's a fierce, excellent tackler. He's smart. He's athletic. He can cover in space. These are the kind of kids also that'll make a big impact in trying to help on your special teams.
That's DESHAUN Davis, safety, 6'1", 190 pounds from Lee High School, an excellent competitor and an excellent athlete. All right, you know who else has been a great athlete? Stone Wilson. I mean, just a terrific player in the special teams, but he is departing the program. No more Stone Wilson here, but replacing him, and Sean Young as well. Got some guys to replace in special teams. Tommy Heatherly, who spent a year in JUCO, really used that year to get in shape. Dropped over 60 pounds, Coach. This guy has some talent, too.
Well, AJ, one of the things, James Villon, our special teams coordinator, you know, really combed the country and tried to find guys, and Tommy was the #1 punter in junior college, and I actually flew into NEO Junior College, watched his bowl game, and ironically, he went to high school where my father was the head coach in his first coaching in Grove, Oklahoma. So there was a lot of connections, a lot of just things that we've fit together. But you know, he's a place kicker. He can kick off. He can do all 3 phases. The immediate thing is obviously losing Stone Wilson. You got to get somebody in that could be a great punter.
High school look a little different these days.
Yeah. Actually, it's like 10 times bigger. So, you know.
All right, moving forward, a guy out of Cincinnati. He'll be the lone roster member from Ohio for FIU. Joseph Hawker, again, offense, defense, was a tight end, a defensive end from Deer Park High School in Cincinnati, an excellent athlete. I mean, he's a tight end D end, but he returned a kick for a touchdown this year.
AJ, I mean, obviously you can see him. Here's a 6'5", 245, 250-pound kid. You want to talk about the complete athlete. This is a kid, obviously the upside for him is a tight end. I mean, this is a Eric Ebron, Jeremy Shockey type of a kid that could be a 40, 50, 60 catch a season. You can see him there playing a little bit of wide receiver. He was on the state championship basketball, 29-0 last year. I actually went to one of his games. I think he had like 19 points and like 18 rebounds. I mean, this kid is just a great athlete, and it's really going to be nice to have him in our program.
3-star recruit, again, 6'6", 235 pounds. Shows the Panthers overall first from closer to home, like Bowling Green, Eastern Kentucky. That's Joseph Hawker, a tight end out of Cincinnati, Ohio. All right, an explosive athlete moving forward. Nate Jefferson, listed as an athlete and a wide receiver on the profile from Lyman High School up in Longwood, Florida. 3-star recruit. Coach, over 3,500 all-purpose yards, 31 TDs throughout his career. Shows us over Power 5 programs like Carolina, Iowa State. This guy can play.
And obviously you can see on the film there is a punt return. I mean, this is a kid that can make a lot of difference. I mean, he's a guy kind of like the Kansas City Chiefs, Tyreek Hill. You get the ball in this kid's hands at any position, whether it's on jet sweeps, throw him the ball, punt him the ball, he can make big-time plays. And he was kind of part of that theme of we've got to get faster, of getting guys into the program that bring electric, explosive, big play potential, and certainly he is one of them.
Well, it's so exciting because Jefferson, along with the next 2 recruits we're going to go over, I mean, they're all dynamic players, especially in the special teams. Maurice Alexander is eventually going to depart the program. We're going to have to
Unfortunately.
find a guy. We still got him, but eventually he'll depart, and finding someone to replace what he can bring explosively in the receiving game, and also on special teams, going to be critical. Jefferson certainly a candidate to contend for those that type of role in the offense and special teams moving forward. Hometown guy, Miami Central. This guy is exciting. Lexington Joseph, more well known as Flex, out of Miami Central. You talk about Miami Central running backs, Najee Davenport, Willis McGahee, Devonta Freeman, more recently here that we're well familiar with, Anthony Jones. He's the latest in that pipeline from Miami Central. And if you didn't know about him, you knew after his 27 carries, 270 yards in the semifinals this year.
I'll tell you what, AJ, and this is a young man, obviously, he loves football, and he's one of those kind of guys. I mean, obviously, you need guys in your program that at any point get them the football and they can take it the length of the field, that they are explosive, they're fast, they can change the complexion of an entire ball game because in one play they can go 40, 50, 60 yards. And Flex is one of those kids, that running backs that come out of Central, they're tough, they're physical, they love football, and his versatility, because not only has he got great vision as a running back, he can catch the ball well. So, you know, that adds to the things that he can do out of the backfield, that if you put him out of the backfield in the slot or something like that, now you've got like just a jet fast wide receiver as well.
I remember on Twitter the next day, I mean, every headline from that semifinals against Carroll City, a very talented program in his regard. He had 2 touchdowns in that game as well in the win, choosing FIU over offers from the likes of Louisville and Pitts out of the ACC. Flex Joseph is staying home, and that's a big boost for the FIU program. Also, staying in the state of Florida, out of Mandarin High School, KRIS Mitchell, a wide receiver, 6'1", 175-pound 2-star, choosing the Panthers over South Florida. UConn, fellow CUSA member UAB. He reunites with DESHAUN Davis, his former teammate, who will be in this recruiting class, and over 1,000 yards all-purpose, and he's quick too. 4.4 in the 40.
Super fast. And AJ, and one of the things, and you know, you referenced at the end of each of these kids some of the schools that they were attracted to. This young man, let me just tell you something. They won the state championship. The last 4 games of the season, he may have been one of the most dynamic wide receivers, maybe in the entire country, if not certainly in the southeastern part of the United States. Big, gigantic plays. This is a guy, again, that brings speed, that explosiveness, that can blow the top off of the secondary. And obviously, KRIS is somebody that we really coveted. We were glad to get him committed, and certainly glad to get him into our program, because this is a kid that can actually make huge plays.
Yeah, I can't wait to see whether those 3 offensively can potentially contribute. Jefferson, Flex Joseph, KRIS Mitchell, a lot of athletic guys out of the state of Florida that are staying home and making their way here to FIU. All right, a guy outside the state of Florida and one of the most decorated quarterbacks ever to attend FIU. You know, I like it because, you know, it will continue a tradition of having a player named Stone on the roster who can sling some touchdown passes. Stone Wilson had a TD pass of the day. Stone Norton might have a couple more. Tennessee, Mr. Football, a very athletic player, also very good on the basketball courts as well. And he said our offense kind of similar to his that he runs at Davidson, and he has a prolific passer in high school.
Yeah, I tell you, AJ, I mean, obviously, you know, one of the hallmarks of every good recruiting class, you really need to bring in a talented quarterback. And obviously Stone is one of those guys. You just referenced the fact that he was Mr. Tennessee. I think they went 15-0. They won the state championship. You know, he's a little bit of the benefit of the fact that, you know, we got him down here early. Rich Skrosky and Bryn Renner and Drew Davis, they built a relationship that he felt unbelievably comfortable, not only with the program, the facilities, but with our coaching staff and the schemes and the style offensively. And you know, he's a kid that just absolutely, he loves football. He's got the mind of like reading coverages. He's got the athletic ability. He's playing basketball, obviously, and so he's got the athletic ability to extend plays. You know, that's a great signee for this class.
I mean, listen to these stats over his career: 89 touchdown passes, only 15 interceptions. I mean, he takes care of the football. And Bryn Renner was quoted. He was talking about, you know, that relationship they developed and him deciding to come to FIU. And he said, you know, he reminds you of maybe Ken Dorsey a little bit, or T.J. Yates. That he fits the molds of quarterbacks you've been around before.
Well, he does, just the mental aspect of it. He is super smart. He may be a little bit more athletic than either of those 2 guys, to be honest with you. But you know, the way in which he plays, and you just referenced, I mean, obviously, people just after the Super Bowl, why is Tom Brady so successful? I mean, he outworks everybody, and rarely does he beat the team. The number of touchdowns in relationship to the interceptions, obviously, you just said he had 89 touchdowns and 15 interceptions.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, you'd love to have 8 touchdowns for every time you throw an interception. We'd be in good shape.
And it's great that he'll have a year to be tutored and mentored, of course, by James Morgan, who Oh, well, he had a pretty good year himself.
Not bad.
FIU in his first campaign with the Panthers. All right, moving forward, Julius Pierce out of Sanford, Florida, Seminole High School. That's Central Florida. Pipeline continues as well. He was a high school teammate of backup quarterback Kalen Wiggins on this roster. Coach Mo was his primary recruiter. He's a two-sport athlete, and you like his athleticism.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what. Obviously, you're watching a lot of film where he's playing tight end.
Yeah.
Okay. He's already gained weight. I mean, back in the recruiting period, he was in the mid-250s. He's up to 275. We projected him, and he knows he's coming in to be an offensive lineman. He is going to be a great athlete. He could be an offensive left tackle. He could be an interior center or guard. He's smart. He's an unbelievable competitor. He's going to be one of those big, massive guys that, you know, you'd love to try to take about a half a dozen of these kind of kids every year, because to play tight end, you've got to be a pretty good athlete.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay? Well, once you take that athleticism from the tight end and now you put him inside, now all of a sudden he becomes a very, very good athlete, because if you're going to block elite premier defensive linemen, you've got to have good feet. You've got to have flexibility, and obviously we think that he brings that to this program.
It'll be interesting to see how flexible or versatile he certainly could be
Oh,
along the offensive line. You're from a tight end, there's a couple of options that might work along that O-line. All right, our last early signing commit before we head to break, Nate White out of Edgewater High School. 6'5", 220, three-star defensive end, had 21 sacks as a senior, helped his team get within one game of a state championship, and a high-character kid as well. He's been through a lot to get to this point, and it's a very supportive family.
Yeah, and AJ, and obviously the Edgewater program in high school football in the state of Florida is one of the really premier programs, and if you're that productive, you get 21 sacks on a team that's that good and that talented, I mean, you're a really, really good athlete, and he is, as we talked about earlier, those hybrid type of guys, the 6'3", 6'4" guys that they may be at 230, 245, they may be 265 in 2 or 3 years. We're going to kind of let God and Chad Smith and the strength program take it over, and wherever they end up. But he loves football, and he's active, and he chases, and he pursues, and he plays hard. So obviously Nate is somebody that we're very excited about bringing into this program. Having
a great time at the Graham Center right now. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll go over our mid-year enrollees as well as our signees from today, as well with the spring signing period. It's been a great time here at the FIU National Signing Day celebration. Good crowd on hand. Excited about the future, the potential. Rory's having a good time. Stay with us on Facebook Live here at the Graham Center, our National Signing Day celebration.
We are stronger together.
We push our teams to excel.
In the classroom,
on the court,
in the community.
Together we are committed and uplifting.
Strong and objective.
We are building the next generation.
A generation with integrity.
And we are doing it our way.
Supporting one another.
Working towards the same vision.
Stronger together.
This is the CUSA way.
We're a university founded on the site of an airport, reaching new heights. It's in our DNA. And since then, we've dedicated ourselves to solving the big problems facing our community and the world. We believe that crazy startup idea isn't so crazy, that families without health care shouldn't have to go it alone. We believe we can be better prepared for the next hurricane, and that our coral reefs can be saved. And that's because, above all else, we believe in you.
Hey Panther fans, please join us March 13th through the 16th as the CUSA basketball tournament heads back to Frisco, Texas. It's an unbelievable event, both inside and outside the arena. Please come and join us and cheer us on.
We are stronger together. We push our teams to excel.
In the classroom,
on the court,
in the community.
Together we are committed and uplifting.
Strong and authentic.
We are building the next generation.
A generation with integrity.
And we're doing it our way.
Supporting one another. Working towards the same vision.
Stronger together.
This is the CUSA way.
Hey FIU Panther fans, please join us March 13th through the 16th as the Conference USA Basketball Tournament heads back to Frisco, Texas. It's a great event, both inside and outside the arena, so plan to be there and cheer us on.
Well, we welcome you back inside the Graham Center as you take a look at our trophy from the Bahamas Bowl. Terrific 35-32 win just a couple weeks ago. Fans, get your game on at Game Time, where you always have a front row seat to the action. Game Time at Sunset Place is over 160 interactive arcade games, 70-plus TVs to watch the game, and a delicious menu. It's the perfect spot to host your next events. Learn more at GameTimePlayers.com. That's GameTimePlayers.com. This is the FIU signing day special. AJ Ricketts, Butch Davis. All right, we've gone over the fall commits, so for the early signing commits, I should say, December, not really fall. But we're moving forward. Our mid-year enrollees now, so some four-year transfers to bring also one junior college transfer here as well. So let's start with Logan Gunderson. We got some guys to replace along the offensive line. Kai Abshir, Daquan Wilkie, Near Mars, Jordan Budwick, but Gunderson, 6'5", 318. We've gotten some guys from ASA before, and he provides some steadiness along the offensive line.
Yeah, well, you know, this is where recruiting has changed a little bit, AJ. Obviously, junior college recruiting has always been a part of the signing day stuff, but the grad transfers, the portals, and all of those kinds that we're going to reference, you know, and Logan is one of those guys we needed some maturity, an older guy that could come in, as you just referenced, the fact that we've lost four really significant seniors that played a ton over the last 3 or 4 years in the offensive line. He's big, he's strong, he's physical, he's athletically enough that he can play any of the four positions, both of the offensive guards or the two offensive tackle positions. We're going to try to plug him in. He's obviously already enrolled in school and in the strength program. Plug him in this spring and find out which of those positions does he have the best chance to really compete and really either build depth or get a chance to play next fall.
Before we get to our next guy, Alexi Jean-Baptiste, the linebacker transfer from Arkansas, just to reference these transfers from four-year programs, I mean, they can make an impact right away. We saw that this past season with C.J. Warden. Well, he had the red shirt, but first-year player in the program, and then obviously James Morgan. I mean, these guys who can come in may not have had the success they wanted out of previous school, but you found ways in your 2 years here to make use of transfers.
Yeah, and Pharaoh McKeever that came in, started, went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then obviously this past year, the MVP of the Bahamas Bowl, you know, was Ed Freeman, a transfer from the University of Texas. So these kids now, the whole deal, AJ, for people that are out there listening, if they want to transfer, okay, they can transfer, and they don't need to get a release from the school that they're at. In some cases, they may have to set out a year just for the deal. If they have a reason to transfer, if there's a reason, as in the case of Jean-Baptiste, coming back to Florida, his family's living here. Some of these kids, and we're going to talk about Josh Turner a little bit, some of them have had some really unique and unfortunate special things that have happened within the family, and they need to come home to be closer to their mom because of an illness in the family, and you know, and he is one of them. But let's talk about his football ability.
Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, he can rush the passer. This is a kid, if people at home think of maybe a slightly bigger, taller, bigger, stronger, maybe type of a person of like Furman Silva. I mean, this is a guy that can put his hand on the ground, come off the edge. He can play an outside linebacker position. We're really excited about him.
Yeah, native of Pompano, Florida, a consensus 3-star recruit at the time, not just by one outlet. I mean, Rivals, ESPN, Scout, 24/7, all had him at 3-star coming out of Coconut Creek High School. Spent the past 3 years at Arkansas. Their alma mater, but looking for a fresh start here. One of a pair of transfers from the University of Arkansas. We'll get to MALEEK in a second. Up next, he comes from Iowa, Josh Turner, defensive back, 6 foot, 188 pounds. Again, a South Florida guy, Delray Beach from American Heritage, which always produces some pretty good quality players. Played in 11 games, 5 tackles last year. What do you see out of Turner?
Well, Josh was a kid. We tried, my first year when we got here, we tried to jump in, but he had already pretty much committed to the University of Iowa. He's got a close relationship with some of the kids that are already on our team. Noah Curtis and he are very, very tight. But, you know, once he got up there and he realized, you know what, I want my family to be around my program, come watch my games. When he contacted us and said, you know, I'd like to transfer, it was like a no-brainer. We wanted this kid. This kid is fast. He's outstanding. He can play every coverage that you'd like to play for a corner. He can play bump and run, press, man-to-man, play zones. He's just a really good athlete.
In high school, he lettered in football, track, and rugby as well. So you know if he's not afraid to hit people without pads. When he puts it on, he's certainly willing to make some contact. Our last mid-year enrollee also from the University of Arkansas, MALEEK Williams. I think will sit out this year. The running back room is stacked right now and it doesn't have a waiver. But at the same time. That's fine. Get a year to get into the program. 5'11", 223 pounds. From Punta Gorda, went to Charlotte High School, which a number of our players certainly have as well. He was a consensus 4-star recruit.
Yeah, and you can see, I mean, when you're rushing and you're scoring from 60 yards out in the SEC at the University of Arkansas, I mean, this is a great kid to add to the program. He's an unbelievably hard worker. He's got, when you watch him play, and the things that jump out at great running backs is not only the explosiveness to score, but the vision, the ability to make cuts and to jump cut and run away from the pursuit and those kinds of things. And here you can see the power get to the close to the goal line. And so obviously getting MALEEK in this program, I mean, this is a kid that really truly is an electric football player. It's good to have him in the program, and he'll do a fantastic job. He's a little bit like what C.J. Wharton was coming from Florida 2 years ago. He was a great practice squad player for us in almost every single week, and it paid off. Look how good he played for us this year as a wide receiver.
He is going to help make that scout team very formidable and give some headaches
no doubt.
to the A squad. All right, moving forward. So we got 5 signees today, potentially more depending on when letters come in, or there's some scholarships we're holding for down the road as well. That's just, you know, how things go with moving forward from the spring signing day. But 5 right now that we can chat about. They've got their letters in. They are officially FIU Panthers. Welcome to the family. Let's start with Nazir Carter. Goes by Nas, 6'3", 223. Another linebacker you got.
Yeah, another one. You know, we referenced earlier in the show a little bit about the void of not recruiting any before we got here. So Nazir, we really feel like this is a kid that plays in the box. He is a tough, physical guy. He can cover backs out of the backfield. He can cover the line, the tight ends and stuff. And you can see, I mean, the make or break thing, AJ, for linebackers, do they have the instincts to be able to find the ball? I mean, not just be a robot and run and fill into a gap, but you can see, like on cutbacks and things like that, he makes the same moves that the running backs make, and he runs downhill. He can play sideline to sideline. He's got the athletic ability and the speed that there's not a lot of it on here, but he can cover. This is a kid that, you know, you're not worried about, oh God, what happens if it's play action? Can this kid cover? This kid can do it all.
He led his team with 96 tackles. He was a team captain in West Orange. Pretty talented program coach. Every senior that started for that team is going to play in college. So he has a good pedigree in terms of the high school that he came from at West Orange. All right, going to the line, 6'3", 300 pounds, Sione Fano out of Dallas, and I know you enjoyed taking a trip back to some old stomping grounds. And I think his family was wearing a Dallas Cowboys shirt when you met with him. But you know, his family hails from Tonga. Was ranked as one of the top offensive linemen in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and a high-quality kid character offered by all 3 service academies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a young man. He is tough. He is physical, and he will surprise people. If you have any Polynesian background of watching Polynesian players play, the Troy Polamaus and the Junior Seaus, they are unbelievably physical, and they're freaky athletes. As big as he is at 300 pounds, he is nimble on his feet. He can get in and out. He can trap. He can pull, get in front of runners. And the thing that you love about it is when he goes to finish, this guy brings the heat. This guy plays physical. Got a great family, his mom and dad. I mean, obviously, they are super, super excited. You know, I think earlier today they posted a photo of his signing deal, and it was a huge family, maybe even almost a tribe. I mean, there was like 25 people, and they love him. And I'm going to tell you what, our players in our locker room, and when he came in on his official visit, he meshed with everybody, and it was really good to get him to come to FIU.
Certainly not always terrific to get an offensive lineman that a team will gravitate to, who can lead the team, finish blocks, be excited about the grind of that process each and every day. That's Sione Fano out of Dallas making his way to South Florida. Guy a little closer to home originally out of Port St. Joe. He just committed very recently, a long-time UCF committed. Really excited to get him. KENDRE Grant, a wide receiver, a defensive back, a linebacker out of Port St. Joe, a 3-star recruit. I think some have him as a 4-star as well, and he's been efficient on both sides of the football. Look at this.
And again, DJ, I mean, I in all my coaching career, these are the kind of kids that you love. You'd love to sign 3-4, which we did this year. Kids that are, I mean, here's a kid that's 6'3.5". He's 200 pounds. On film, he has played corner. He's played safety. He's played linebacker. He's played.
Love that.
I mean, oh my God. I mean, so you can see him here. His instincts on making interceptions, and who knows? He's 202 pounds. By the time next season, he could be 220. He could be 245 or 250 in 2 years, or he could be an unbelievable freak at 230 pounds. I mean, you know, but his athleticism is outstanding. His football instincts is really, really good. You can see, I mean, he's got a nose to be around the football, and that's just something that obviously you can't coach.
Before we move on to Shamar, I want to ask a little bit more about KENDRE, because, you know, he said last week, when I went to FIU, it just felt like home.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a guy you pursue to the very end. This is a huge addition to the program. You can play him in a multiple variety of roles, but again, a long-time recruit and commit to UCF, and Louisville was after him too. When you have these long-time recruits, I mean, he was still visiting up until the very end. I mean, that's a very intricate and delicate recruiting process.
Now, there were several schools that were fighting to get that last visit to try to get him, you know, schools like Southern Miss and Mississippi State. I mean, there were people that finally, you know, the school that he's on is a little bit off the beaten path in the radar, but obviously that's what you worry about in the month of January, is if you have found somebody and you're seeking these kids, people don't have anything else to do. They've signed all their kids and they're looking around for 2020, and all of a sudden his name pops up, and now it's Louisville, and so you're fighting your guts out to try to get them, and you know, we really are excited about bringing them into this program.
Yeah, it really is a race to the finish line in the recruiting aspect, and we're glad to have KENDRE Grant headed to FIU. All right, another offensive lineman, played a lot of tackle. He's out of Tampa Jefferson High School. SHAMAR HOBDY-LEE. He's another guy that brings versatility, a lot of options for him.
Well, and massive and big, and that's, you know, obviously, you know, you can see the 4 signees in the offensive line, and you can watch on here. You can see him, the power that he has, the ability to dominate, you know, big down defensive line guys. But you also, the things, when you watch things, you can see this kid trap, and you can see him pull. And, you know, that is unbelievable. One of the things that we saw, and I think this is it, watch him in space as an offensive lineman downfield on the screen, 15 yards downfield, and the defensive back can't make him avoid, you know. I mean, so, I mean, his athleticism, I mean, it's a 6'5", 6'6" kid that's 310 pounds, and obviously you got to, even though they're 300 pounds coming into the program, you're going to have to rebuild that 300 pounds, some of it a little bit, but I mean, we love getting this kid to come in here. I mean, he fit in with the culture. You know, Alan Mogridge did a great job in finding these 4 kids, because we knew we were losing 4. You got to bring people in. It's got to be the heir apparent, and SHAMAR is one of those young men.
All right, our last recruits here on signing day that we'll go over right now. Still may have some additions down the road, but these 5 got their letters in. So our last one to go over right now, same high school as FIU great Thomas Owens, current FIU players Jason Mercier, Kadarius Gaskin. We've got Camarion Williams, heading into the program from Delray Beach, 6'2", 232. This is a very meaningful day for him as well. We'll go over that in a second. But he really impressed you guys at your camp last year, helped his team to a 10-1 record, and I know you're excited about that.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the Atlantic program is outstanding. I mean, they're really pumping out players. You already referenced, you know, Jason Mercier and those guys that are already on the football team. But this is a young man, again, and you know, we've kind of abused this word, but his versatility, the first play you saw, he played wide receiver, then he played tight end, then he played fullback, then he played H-back. And so if you're a 6'2", 235-pound kid that can run in the 4.6s, we are going to find a place, you know, that will help us. He's got a body style that obviously, you know, you're looking for contributions on special teams. One of the things last year and over the last 2 years, when you don't have a lot of linebackers and tight ends and H-backs and big safeties, your special teams sometimes pay the price, because you don't have those bigger, thicker, more powerful guys covering punts and covering kickoffs. So he's a young man that'll come in here, and I had a great conversation with he and his mom on last Saturday, and I said, look, your versatility in high school, you played a lot of positions, and I said I'd be lying to you if I said I know you're going to have success at this position. I said, you trust us, and I guarantee you we're going to find some place in the first month that you're here that you'll have a great career at. And he says, Coach, he says, whatever I can do to help the team win games, I'll play whatever you want me to play.
Yeah, you don't guarantee success, but you tell them if you come in here and work, and certainly special things can happen to you. We mentioned how today was a meaningful day for him. He took a moment today at his signing to honor his former teammate that passed away last year, Mark Allen Dirac. I think we'll bring up this picture of him, but really a meaningful moment for Kamarion Williams today. There he is today at a signing. That's from Jake Elman in the Palm Beach Post. I mean, his teammate had offers from USF, Syracuse. They talked for years about signing today, and pretty good to see him honor his brother in spirit today. Kamarion awesome. Williams heading to FIU, part of the Panther family. Just terrific to see that moment today. All right, we're just going to start wrapping things up on our signing day special. We're gonna fling out some T-shirts for the cheerleaders. Got some great fans on hand, and we'll talk about the Bahamas Bowl moving forward, the spring game, some topics coming up as Rory and company enjoying a big day for the FIU program. Stay with us. Wrap it up after this.
We are stronger together.
We push our teams to excel.
In the classroom,
On the court,
in the community,
together we are committed and uplifting.
strong and uplifting.
We are building the next generation.
A generation with integrity.
And we are doing it our way.
Supporting one another.
Working towards the same vision.
Stronger together.
This is the CUSA way.
We're a university founded on the side of an airport, reaching new heights. It's in our DNA. And since then, we've dedicated ourselves to solving the big problems facing our community and the world. We believe that crazy startup idea isn't so crazy, that families without health care shouldn't have to go it alone. We believe we can be better prepared for the next hurricane, and that our coral reefs can be saved. And that's because, above all else, we believe in you.
Hey Panther fans, please join us March 13th through the 16th as the CUSA basketball tournament heads back to Frisco, Texas. It's an unbelievable event, both inside and outside the arena. Please come and join us and cheer us on.
We are stronger together. We push our teams to excel.
In the classroom,
On the court,
In the community,
together we are committed and uplifting.
Strong and authentic.
We are building the next generation.
A generation with integrity.
and we're doing it our way.
Supporting one another. Working towards the same vision.
Stronger together.
This is the CUSA way.
Hey FIU Panther fans, please join us March 13th through the 16th as the Conference USA basketball tournament heads back to Frisco, Texas. It's a great event, both inside and outside the arena, so plan to be there and cheer us on.
Another perfect day in South Florida. This is winter in Miami as we move forward, start to wrap things up on the FIU Signing Day celebration, brought to you by Cafe Bustelo and Game Time. Reminder to get your game on at Game Time at Sunset Place, the perfect spot to enjoy a fun night out with over 160 interactive games and a great menu. Dine and play every day for only $16.99. Play away every Thursday with 5 hours of time play, only $10. Learn more at GameTime.com. AJ Ricketts, Butch Davis, wrapping things up here on our signing day special. Coach, have you had a couple weeks to decompress and look back and have some perspective on this past season? And we talked about it on our Panther Talks during the fall, but you know, it was a season in which a lot of publications, and I don't know how much outside noise even matters to you guys, but there was every single publication was 6th, 7th in CUSA predictions, rebuilding year.
Oh, yeah.
And you get a school record 9 wins, a Bahamas Bowl victory. You had some time to just look back and some perspective on how terrific a season this was.
Yeah, you know what, AJ, obviously it takes a lot of people to have that kind of success. The kids deserve a tremendous amount of credit. We had to replace 8 starters on defense, the growth, the development, and the improvement that they made during the course of the season, the impact that, you know, that James Morgan made coming into the program after you lose Alex Magoo, and how he improved and got better, becomes the newcomer of the year in Conference USA, was a great leader, great productive during the course of the season as a quarterback. And I just think the program, the expectations, as you referenced, I think most of the magazines prior to the start of the season, they said, oh, they're going to be 4-8. This is a rebuilding year, maybe 5-7. And I think maybe a little bit of the chip on the shoulders when the kids started seeing that. It's like, you know what? Hey, who says we have to be 4-8 or 5-7? Who says that we can't win 7, 8, 9, 10 games? I mean, we're 3 points away from playing for the conference championship and winning a 10th game. So, you know, I think the expectations within the program, the willing to to make the sacrifices to make success happen on Saturdays. The kids, the culture has dramatically changed over the last 2 years.
And I thought it was so neat because all throughout the preseason and really the early portion of the season, you said, look, we're going to make sure we have a number 2 quarterback who's ready to go in there if anything may happen. We learned our lesson, and you know what? That just played itself to fruition in the bowl game. You were ready for them. Christian Alexander was ready for them, and we wish him all the best moving forward in his next string. I think at Wagner, but just a terrific performance, an all-conference caliber performance in the bowl game, and the defense stepped up their play as well. Just all came together for a pretty perfect afternoon in Nassau.
Yeah, it really was. And Christian obviously playing in 8 games prior to the opportunity to start in the bowl game. I think that literally gave him the confidence. It gave the other 10 guys in the huddle, said, you know what, we trust him. Hey, he's going to come in, he's going to do the right thing, and he did it. In the Bahamas Bowl, had a very, very good game. The offense was productive, and we won the game. So we have a lot of those things just around the corner. AJ, obviously spring practice starts March 17th, and the spring game is on a Friday night. It's on April the 12th at 6 o'clock, and so it'll be a chance to explore some young kids that didn't play much last year. Who's going to fill in some of the graduations in the offensive line? How are we going to replace some of those guys and the backup roles, which are critically important because you're going to need them at just about every position. We've got to replace the punter and Stone Wilson, him leaving, and Sean Young, who did a great job for us kicking off. So, we got a lot of challenges and a lot of things, but I think that, we've got people in the pipeline. Now we just got to coach them, and they've got to really work extraordinarily hard to try to make sure that they come up to meeting the level of expectations.
I was going to say, as we start finishing up here, it's still early in this process. The spring game coming up in a couple of weeks. There's a lot of puzzle pieces to still figure out. How are these new guys going to adjust? And the players that didn't get a lot of time last year, what kind of adjustments and steps up will they make? So there's a lot of time to go. But, Coach, on the surface, what really excites you about this group moving forward? It would seem like you've added a lot of depth, and you have a ton of veteran presence as well, even under center.
Yeah, if I could tell you, this morning at 6 o'clock we had our first day of mat drills, and if you could have seen the overwhelmingly passion to work hard. I mean, any victories that we have next year in September, October, November, you earn them now. I mean, the dark days when nobody's watching, the band's not playing, you making the sacrifices to get bigger and stronger and faster, and watching film and going out and competing against your teammates to improve. That's when you really kind of find out, what's your football team going to be like. Are they going to be a team that loves to compete? They love to fight for victories, and there's no switch that you can flip in August that says, okay, we didn't do anything for the last 4.5 or 5 months, but now we're going to try hard. Well, it's too late. You've already sold your soul out that you probably are not going to have a very good team.
Well, I tell you what, there's a great amount of anticipation for year 3, this era and this program, this team moving forward, and a tremendous amount of work to put in to get to this day. 20 commits, potentially a little bit more moving forward. Of course, a couple of scholarships saved. But, Coach, congratulations on another terrific signing day. Go disappear for a little bit. Take a break. You've earned, your staff's earned a
I told all the coaches
here.
If any of the coaches are in the office for the next 2 days, they're fired. Go home, go see your family, see your children, go
lock the doors, and go enjoy yourself for a couple days. Coach, best of luck moving forward. To catch up with you. We'll see you soon here for the spring game. This has been the Hunts 19, our recap of our fall and spring signees this afternoon, our mid-year enrollees. Looking forward to what they bring to the program. We welcomed them to the FIU family just a couple weeks removed from the 2018 Bahamas Bowl Championship. We thank everyone that tuned in today on Facebook Live and joined us here at the Graham Center as we move forward into year 3 of the Butch Davis era. For Coach, I'm AJ Ricketts. We'll see you next time here at FIU. Take care.